Start another live coding session. Probably can stay online for about half an hour. Let me just check first that the live stream is actually up and running. It seems we are live. So first, where we dropped off last time was that we were working on how the gun fire recording would work, or the playback would work when we were standing still. And I've been able to look a bit more into this now, and yeah, I think I've gotten one step further. So I'm just going to demonstrate right now. So I've also moved now the chat probably from YouTube Live over to Discord. So let me just add a link to the Discord here as well in the YouTube chat. Just going to copy that into the live and save this. All right, hopefully now that information about the Discord should be also on the live stream. Not very easy to see if it is, but let me check. That wasn't really so easy to check. Yeah, so there should be now a link to the Discord channel I'm using while I'm working with this. We'll probably turn off the chat on turn off the chat we have on YouTube. So I'm just blocking that off now. So what I want to show you the progress we had. So the issue was getting him to the actor to actually turn around and walk while he's firing. So done a couple of fixes now, and hopefully it looks a bit better. But I think the key learning is that you need to have, you can't be the actor who is actually running the recording, because your mouse movement is actually interfering with everything else. So let's give it a quick test here. So now I've already recorded for this other actor while standing still. So you see he's firing.
Where are you assholes hiding?
He's running around here firing. I'm just watching this guy who I've recorded just recently. So this, if you are on the Discord channel, you can download this latest version and test it out. And you also see the aiming is much better now. So let's run it once more so you can see a bit closer. He's aiming up here. He's actually not able to shoot me. Oh, that's interesting. Now he's walking and shooting, and then he's running over and gonna shoot those barrels here at the end. Okay, let's check it again. This time I'm just gonna stand behind him. Hopefully stream, it's not super smooth, but at least it should give you a okay impression of what's happening. So, running the recording here. Aiming at different points, turning step by step. A bit jerky sometimes, but I think that's actually the best we can do with these nickels. So let me just try to record this actor as well at the same time, so we can just simulate some kind of gunfight. We don't have any weapons, so I'm just gonna get that. And I'm now actor number 2 and recording this one. Different things, and then I'll run up here. turn around, shoot into this corner here, and then run over here and stop the recording. Okay, so now the trick is if I try running this recording here while I'm after this actor, you will see he won't turn as he's supposed to do. He's just looking straight ahead, and that's because I have control of the mouse movement, so I need to disable that some way, or basically the easiest way is just to run into a different actor, and you will see how it's working. So showing you now that when I turn, he's turning as well, so that's not going to work. So basically we disable all mouse movement if this happens. But let me then just make an actor number 3 and then run the whole scene now with both actors at the same time. So we'll just be standing here in the middle, standing behind here so we can view both of them. So now we'll put the scene to active and see what happens then. You see they're both firing. I think this is actually quite useful already. He's running over and they're aiming while they're walking. Running over, shooting a bit. Let us check it once more. This time I'll just walk over to the first person so you can see. Okay, so here he is. This actor number 2, which we recorded. And over here. So I'm just going to show you now the code behind this now. So as explained in the last live coding stream, this is where once we recorded the key events, when we're playing it back, this is where we execute the actions we needed based on this recording. And afterwards we have a check if it's completed before it runs on to the next element. So what I have been trying is to disable the controls, and I'm pretty sure these don't work. This one I had already, but it seems to not be working. And I think the reason is you need to call this constantly for every loop within the code, not just once within this execute natives. The second thing I've done is basically this check here. So if you are walking, we already have this native which worked well. The biggest thing which worked here was that the actor was actually aiming the gun while doing this. But what we have when you're standing still is that we're running two different natives. The first one is a task, which one then might take some time. It's basically aiming, asking the actor to aim at a point, and this point here is actually the impact where the bullet hit. And this one is that we actually do it until we're told to do something else. And the second one is to set the heading, so where he's pointing. Now we have Rico joining in on the chat. The second thing we have this here, which is very useful for playing back the recording, set pet shoots at. So this is what actually triggers the shooting. So that will be one individual shot. We can probably do tricks to do this multiple times to have more shots being fired at the same time. So I guess this one is the one I want to disable, I guess, any mouse movement while playing back anything which is the shooting recording. I guess for the other ones I want it to be enabled, so I'll try to move this somewhere else right now. Yeah, so I'm just gonna go away from the game and going to move this one over to where our main loop is. So there's basically, this one is the main loop we're running when we're playing back a recording for one or more actors, and let's see, this runs no matter what, I think. So I guess we have a recording item here which is being played at. So this is the one we're playing back, and basically we want to check that if that is a recording of the type shooting, then we want to disable the looking key. So I'm just going to take that a bit later. Most likely this will crash the game, I assume, the first few times I tried. So I had some code doing this before, and this is the logic we have. This checks for completion, so I think I'm gonna run it afterwards. So this is the recording item we have. And we basically want to try to cast this into our type. And if it's not, this will basically now return a null vector if it's not this type. I'm just going to rename this to. And if we have, if we don't have a null vector, then we want to disable it. And I'm gonna log this to a file just to see that it actually worked. And then we want to do this. I think this will be good enough with the one parameter. I'll just comment this out here. Things like this, which is being called every tick, usually have a tendency to just crash the entire game. But I think I've done nothing wrong here, as long as this isn't something empty. All right. So now I've updated the build script as well, so it actually copies the ASI file directly into my game folder, and as I said, there is a file called scripthookv.dev you can have, which means you can reload your mods by just pressing Ctrl R in the game. Let me just walk you over to the game at the same time. So now you see the game, and the big difference now is that hopefully the camera movement will be disabled once you're running in, once you are playing back shooting recording. So let me just get some weapons. So that's the recording, and now let's play it back, and hopefully I shouldn't be able to move my mouse. It actually has blocked my mouse, but still, so I'm trying to move the mouse while playing back now. You see here it blocks it, so it's actually doing what it's intended to do, but it's not moving the actor at all. It's changing the heading, which is a bit weird, because that means that this really doesn't have a it doesn't make sense that I'm allowed, well, basically there seems to be some limits on the natives, that you can call some of the natives on a ped, which is basically any NPC or person around in the game, but you can't call it on your player actor, which is the one you're controlling. So I guess this whole, here I see, even though I'm sort of disabling the mouse movement, it still doesn't respect this change heading. And the other alternative for me would be to, I've tested a bit this what's called a task sequence, which basically allows you to do several things in sequence. The main issue here is I'm trying to do two things in parallel, which is aiming the gun, changing the heading, and then, well, maybe the third thing, shooting as well. When I'm running a task sequence, which I tried here earlier, the issue is that it waits until this task is completed before I start this one, which doesn't really help me. But the task, I think, can be run even though you're the current player. So I guess I'm kind of stuck with this, that regardless of what I do, you can't be, when you're playing back a gun firing recording, you can't be the current player, or you as a player cannot control a person which is gun firing recordings, which is different from the other ones. I think when you make a video, that's not going to be a big restriction, because you're typically going to record a few of the other ones doing the actual shooting, and then you are just going to control the other actor. All right, so it doesn't make sense for me to have this, but let's just comment it out, since yeah, just going to mention this while we are live here, is that all of the code we have here is also you can find this on GitHub under my user. So this is the project in GitHub for this project, lots of code, and I'm basically committing here on a weekly basis when I'm doing changes. Not a lot of details on the commits, but you will constantly get the latest code here. And if somebody wants to try to fix a bug or something, feel free to work on this and just fork this project and do a pull request on it, and we'll get it back into the main line and publish as a change. Yeah. So I guess what I want to test now is if I'm actually able to fire at the people who have a recording. So let's try going back to the game. I guess I can deploy a new version of the code as well. Yeah, and now it's basically saying that I still have the mod open, so I need to unload that first. I think there's few projects on GitHub from GTA mods, but not all of the code, which is an issue when you're trying to sort of pick elements from what other people have done in their mods and use it into your mod. Yeah. So now we loaded the latest version of the mod, hopefully. And I'm just going to record two different actors. You see I have a bug here as well, because I'm basically the aiming animation has no timeout, so it will just stand there forever. So I'll find some way of taking that away, but it's not sort of a critical thing right now. So let's just record and shooting, and our goal now is to actually try and shoot and kill this guy. Not sure if I had any god modes or. I think the next thing I want to try out is a bit more, how can we detect more heavy fire like this instead of just individual shots. We'll just run over here, and then he's turning around, but then it's delayed. Alright, so then we'll just clone this actor. We won't bother with actually changing the appearance. We're just going to give this guy all the weapons as well. and I think we'll just have a gunner. That's a hand grenade. A gun, please. So then we're just gonna run the scene, and I'm gonna try to shoot the guy with the recording. Sorry. So it's teleporting everybody with the recording back to the start, and we should see him coming over here and shooting. As you can see, it's not firing that often as I did on the recording. So that's the next thing we're going to try to work with. Let me just hide here. Okay, so right now I can't shoot because I'm sort of a friend. I'm the same character, so it won't allow me to actually do that. So I need to change the appearance. Let me just do some here. I think that should be enough for me to.
No class, asshole.
No, we're still actually friends. Okay, so what if I swap back to this actor? Can I then aim at him?
Moron!
No, still counts. So this is also related to this group activity, or the grouping of people I had, which doesn't really work. But in theory, if you are in different groups, you should be able to
more
shoot
brains.
them. What if I try to just clone this actor?
I'll whip your ass like Tony McTony does his old.
Still can't do that.
You a bitch!
Okay, so I'm just going to reload the mod, and I think I'm not going to be any of the standard characters. I think that creates a bit of problem. So I'll be this character, load the mod. And let me just clone this actor. And hopefully this one should be able now to be able to aim. No, it's not being. So again, this is the grouping issue. So this thing hasn't really mattered that much before when I've been recording videos, but now since we have the gun firing, it's much more important. So I'm just gonna possess somebody close here and see if that, because then they will have a different sort of affinity, and I should be able to shoot more. But I think once I add them to the slot, I also add them to the group, so I'm a bit unsure I want to do that. Let me just see now. It's actually still being. So I'm thinking I'm going to try to disable this whole group thing. I think what it's been working with is that it keeps everyone peaceful and doesn't kill you while you're trying to do a recording. But right now it's getting in the way of gunfighting. So I guess when we... So I can also copy the latest build file now, because I think it's actually useful to... You can even now create gunfighting scenes if you want to do. So everything you need to do is just copy the ASI file, and then it should be okay to test it out. Yeah, it was a long text, but okay. So now it's uploaded to Discord. If anybody want to try out the latest ASI file and see if you find anything interesting. Yeah, let me just check one thing. we are live with 3 people actually watching right now. So I wanted to turn off all this with group, because it makes that I can't kill other people. So to remember where that, I think it's this one, pet assign, add pet to slot somewhere. So here is what happens when we actually add them to a slot. There's some logic to forcing an override, and yeah, assign actor to a relationship group. So I'm just going to disable this for now. Build a new version. And now this actor I have here, he's already assigned to a group, so I'm just gonna swap to somebody else. And this one might also be, since I possessed him earlier. Now let's just run over here. So this is the guy who wants to be. And try not to fall and die. So let's just give him some weapons through the enhanced trainer. I'm just gonna check that I can't actually aim at him and not the other ones. What the hell is happening? Could be something with possess as well. I'm doing the same thing. Let's check. Oh, sorry, I forgot to switch over to the game. But anyway, it didn't really work as I intended because we couldn't aim at anybody else yet. So it's probably that we do the same thing when we're possessing the pets. I would guess. Okay, let me just undo this first. I'm just going to commit the code to GitHub since it was actually working. So the whole thing with the clones is basically that I'm setting what's called a relationship group when I think both when possessing and assigning them to a key. So that's was made to keep them peaceful, because I know a lot of scenes were sort of ruined because people started attacking each other. And that basically means that same way as when you aim between the different main characters in the game, it will do that for all actors. And you can't actually fire the gun either. So let me just commit the code to GitHub here. So all the new stuff I do is in a different commit, so I can play around a bit more. And then it's the possess. Let me just find where I do this. Okay, so actually when the scene is active, I'm adding everybody to the relation group they have, and I'm doing it well multiple places. So I think actually the best thing is to, instead of finding everywhere I'm calling this function, I'm just gonna take it away where inside this method assign actor. Just makes it a bit easier to contain the change. So everything here is just going to get commented out. We even have people from Norway coming in. So, as some of you may know, I'm from Norway. I think I've got some questions from German or anywhere, but I'm a Norwegian, yes, living in Stavanger. So, built a new version of the ASI file now.
Hey man, what's shaking?
And I think I'm just gonna possess somebody else so I can start. From scratch. This guy here looks cool. So add him to slot, and I want to get this last time. So if we now add some weapon. Hopefully we should be able to aim at other people.
Fool.
No!
Lick my old green pussy.
Okay, so I'm actually able to aim, but it's... So I think this is actually working now. So now I'm just going to record a firing scene with this actor, and I'm going to try to shoot the actor afterwards. I'm just going to run over here. Fire this right there. Alright, then I'm gonna be actor number 2, get some weapons, and the goal now is just to actually shoot the first actor while they're running the recording. So let's just jump up here for effect. Turn around and grab a weapon. Yeah. And we're gonna run the scene. So this will then, so actor number 3 has a recording, which will be now. So the car actually disappeared. That wasn't the goal. Okay, so you see the actor here is just shooting around. And he's now dead. So let's remove the scene back and forth. We're trying to actually rest it. Let's try to, yeah. Now you see it's trying to do the same thing, but it's missing the weapons. That's a separate bug we need to do to make sure that the person with this recording doesn't just aim with the guns. It's actually, if it has the recording with a certain weapons, it's supposed to get it back when it's brought back to life. Oh, sorry, forgot. Here we are. I have to do it manually, so I forget about it. So, let me just show you what's happened right now. So, switching. I was able to actually shoot down the other actor, but when he's been resuscitated after being dead by the script, you see she's just running around without the actual gun she's supposed to have. So she's aiming with her fingers and making pew pew sounds probably. So let's try to fix that here. But at least I'm able to, so I'll show you again. So you're able now to simulate a gunfight because you can actually shoot them down as well with no problems. And when you go back to start, that's when we're trying to get them back to life as well. That fails sometimes. You can either go back to start, or you can try to set the scene mode to active and passive. So you see she first looks to be dead, but then she comes back. But if you have like 10 actors, there's always 1 or 2 where it doesn't work. So let's try to then make sure that when the recording is being played back, if you don't have the weapon in your stock, you will be added it automatically, and then we can test this afterwards. So I'm just unloading the mod now and switching back to the code. I think I have some code for weapon, giving weapon already. So we have this, let's just parachute. So we have a weapon hash here. I I think we're passing to the recording. Yeah, so here we have some code where we're basically, this is for the firing squad functionality. So basically we're checking the weapon of the current pad and we're giving it to all actors here, unless they're skydiving, as this crashes the game. So I guess this is the one we want to do. I guess the only issue is, what is the current weapon here? What, it's a hash, I see, so I think that will work. So then go back into this recording. Here we already have some code loading the asset of the weapon, and I guess we can just do it here afterwards. I guess we're going to check if they have the weapon already. Are we actually swapping to that weapon here, to the entity? No. So by changing this, we should also have the possibility to have multiple different weapons that is in different recordings. So that's something we can test afterwards as well. So this is weapon. So basically this is how we actually add it to a weapon. It's also equipped. So they're getting 1,000 ammos, they're equipping it now, and the ammo's loaded. So we just need to make sure if they already have this weapon, we don't really need to do this. So let's just check. So if that's not equal to the weapon we want, I think we're going to give it regardless, because that also equips it here. This has to be extra. Yeah. So we're checking, getting the current weapon, and if the current weapon is not the weapon we had in the recording, then we will give it to it, and the second to last parameter should be that we actually equip it as well. All right, so a lot of the mod is small things like this to get everything working together. So we built it, and we can now swap back to the game, and this time actually remember to show you the same thing. So I think I'm first going to test out a recording where I'm swapping different weapons. So let us record this one. Then we're swapping weapons to a gun, and lastly to a shotgun. And I managed to delete the recording. That was nice. So let's do it. Alright, so then we have a recording. I'm just going to possess this other actor and have a look at how it works when I go into active mode. So let's see. So it now has a shotgun, now it switches into a rifle, goes over to a pistol, and then goes to the That seems to work pretty well. And he's still holding the aiming upwards here, so I'm just going to fix that now. But I can first test to actually shoot them while they're running the recording to make sure they come back in the right way. So making it active. and going back and forth. Let's see. We now have the weapon, and it's working okay. And over to the gun as well. Alright, we're getting there. So then we are going to back to the code, and I think we're just gonna now make sure that it takes down the aiming afterwards. So basically, yeah, let me get rid of a lot of this code. We don't need that anymore. Take it this way as well. So -1 here means that it does it forever. I guess having it too short can cause problems as well. So I guess I'm just gonna do a quite big value, like 3,000 ticks. Let's just test that.
Fuck!
Oh, don't get me started with melee. This is gunfire recording. Let's do melee later. I think for the melee ones, what I've seen being done with timing animations, I guess if you have a look at the tutorial here from Nucky, it really shows how much you can do already now. Just show you it well. So this is all about timing animations and moving them exactly as you want them. Let's see if I can show you. So here basically you need to fine-tune the animations very closely to get a good looking melee scene. Some more. So you can do one by one doing this. See here, blocking it and going back. It's all about timing animations. So that's at least not going to be my focus right now. No, the question is really good. It's something which ideally should work as well, but you can't really record. You can just record, I think, that you're actually trying to hit something. You can't record exactly how, and there's so many variables you can't control. So I think animation's the way to do there. We're timing it really closely. Yes, so I tried to run now 3 seconds, switching over to the game just to see it. So we'll be just recording a quick scene here. And just cloning it, and basically all we want to see is that when after we run the scene, they should go back to normal within quite quick time, and it hasn't caused any new problems. So 3 seconds going there. I can probably reduce that a bit as well. Oh. So 3 seconds is probably a bit too much, so we'll just go back to, or it's not really a second, but it's 3,000 ticks, which may or may not be a second, but it's close enough. Okay, so now I guess we have shooting and the firing pattern, and I think I'll probably call it a day for now. I'll publish the latest build before I go. And I'll be signing off the live stream. All right. Getting closer to release, and feel free to use this this version to create your own videos. There's no reason why you need to wait until there's an official release on this.